All right, so we're up to 14 students so far. Where is it? Okay, well, don't let her out. The oven's on. How do you screenshot? Good question. So with the Chromebook, let me show you where you can see. I don't know how to explain the button, but I have a picture of it that I shared with you guys in your week at a glance. So if I come to our week at a glance, I'm going to share this real quick. Right here it says need help, Chromebook shortcut.
Miss?
Yes.
I know how to screenshot.
Okay, good.
It's control and like that square within like little arrows on the sides right here.
Yeah, so I don't know what that button is called. That's why I was going to show you where the link is, because then to take a screenshot, it's control, and then it looks like a square with like two
Never mind.
lines.
I knew it was one of those.
Yeah, you go do a partial screenshot, control shift, and then that button. Okay, so that was just in your week at a glance. It's a hyperlink to those shortcuts. And we're going to go ahead and start our lesson on creating and solving equations. Your essential question is, how do you use an equation to model and solve a real-world problem? Okay, so creating equations from verbal descriptions. So you can use what you know about writing algebraic expressions to write an equation that represents a real-world situation. Suppose Corey and his friend Walter go to a movie. Each of their tickets cost the same amount, and they share frozen yogurt that costs $5.50. The total amount they spend is $19.90. How can you write an equation that describes the situation? So we're going to go through how you do this. I'm going to show you how you take a story problem and turn it into an equation. And so A says identify the important information. The word blank tells you that the relationship describes an equation. Okay, so the word, and you remember, is. The word is, that means you have an equal sign, so that you are going to have an equation. The word total tells you that the operation involved in a relationship is, okay, so this is one of your interactive slides. It's multiple choice. What operation does total mean? Okay, so I have 5 responses. 4 of them are correct. Okay, I'm up to 6 responses. Don't be afraid to get the answer wrong. Like, just make your best guess, because if you're not guessing, I don't know how to like help you guys understand better. If you're getting it right, then I know you understand it. If you don't answer at all, then I don't know how to help you understand if I don't see like where your misconceptions are. So I have 7 responses. Everyone should be answering the multiple choice question on your Pear Deck slide. All right, and so this is what we got so far. 5 of you said addition, 1 person said subtraction, 2 said multiplication, and 2 said division. Well, the correct answer is actually addition. Addition is the correct answer. And we had a set of notes where we had a bunch of keywords, and total showed up as one of those keywords. That means that you use addition. So we're going to write addition right there. What numerical information do you have? What numbers show up? Well, we know the frozen yogurt costs $5.50, and the total amount spent is $19.90. So then what is the unknown quantity? This is a Pear Deck slide for you. What is our unknown quantity? What is it we're trying to figure out? Multiple choice. You have 3 choices. What do we not know? That's what you're going to guess and figure out. So go to your Pear Deck slide, and you're going to choose one of those 3 options for what is the unknown quantity.
Do we write that?
So when you go to your Pear Deck slide, it's a multiple choice. So you're just going to pick one of the 3 options. So you have to go, you kind of go back and forth from the Pear Deck slide to the Google Meet. Okay, so I have 13 to 20 responses, and it looks like most of you think it's the cost of each ticket that we don't know. All right, and that's true. Okay, we know the cost of the frozen yogurt. Frozen yogurt is $5.50. We also know the total amount spent. That's $19.90. So the only thing we don't know is the cost of each ticket. All right. So this next part, once you figure out the key information, you have to realize what you're given, what you're trying to figure out. Then you can write a verbal description. So we want to choose a variable to represent our unknown amount. And in this case, since we're trying to figure out the cost of a ticket, we're using C for the cost, because that just logically makes sense, but you can really use any variable you want. The verbal description is that twice the cost of a ticket plus the cost of the frozen yogurt equals the total amount. Okay, Corey and his friend went to the movie, so they need 2 tickets to get in. So it's twice the cost of 1 ticket is what we need to figure out as that term for how much the tickets cost. And then the price of the frozen yogurt, so the cost, again, and that equals the total amount, which we know is $19.90. So to write an equation, you write a numerical or algebraic expression for each quantity and insert an equal sign in the appropriate place. So based off of what we just saw and the story that we have here, which equation do you think goes with our story problem? This is an interactive slide. You have 4 choices. You have 4 equations to pick from. You're going to go ahead and go to your Pear Deck tab, and you're going to select one of those equations. I'm teaching. I can't go with you guys. You're screaming on doors. All right. Well, most of you are getting this correct, which is great. And I can read to you what was on the last slide, because I don't think it's going to let you do that. Which equation would show you that twice the cost of a ticket plus the cost of the frozen yogurt equals the total amount? I have 12 of 22 responses. And there's two that's coming up right now that looks like we're kind of conflicted between B and C. So really the only difference between B and C is the coefficient of 2 in front of the variable C for the first choice, that's blue. And then some of you guys are saying maybe it's just one copy of C. So you have to think back, what does C represent? C is the variable that is the cost of a ticket. How many tickets are they buying? There's two friends. I'm sure you guys have been to the movies before. Can two friends use one ticket, or do we need two tickets? Yeah, so it's going to be B. You guys are right, B. 2C plus $5.50 equals $19.90. And so, you know, another way to think about this visually is you can make like boxes, all right? So like it's like we're adding this stuff to this stuff, and then it's going to equal this stuff. So that's kind of what they're showing here in pink. You can make a model that way where in one box it's twice the cost of a ticket, and then you have the cost of the yogurt, and then the total cost is in the other box. So these are each representing one term. Remember, terms are the pieces that are added together. All right, distributive property. Let's remember this. So you've learned this many times. It's the distributive property. B was the correct answer. B was correct, Angel and Marnaya. So first step in solving an equation, if there's parentheses in that equation, is to remove the parentheses by distributing any factor in front of the parentheses to all terms within the parentheses. So for example, 4 times the quantity of x minus 3. Go ahead and distribute that. What's the correct answer? Pick one. You have 5 choices this time. I distribute 4, which is the factor in front of the parentheses that's being multiplied with everything inside of the parentheses. And in there I have x minus 3. What does that simplify to after I distribute? So you don't have to put your choices in the chat. Just use the pear deck. That's what the pear deck's for. Okay. So I'm happy to see that the correct answer is leading in choices right now. And the trick to distributing is to remember to multiply 4, or whatever is on the outside, with every term, each term inside. In the parentheses, we have 2 terms. So I have to multiply by 4 2 times. You have to multiply x with 4. You have to multiply 3 with 4. All right, E is really where we should be, because we want to make sure that, and I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like. Okay, the 4 comes in and it gets multiplied with x and it gets multiplied with 3. That's distributing. However many terms are inside the parentheses is how many times you would have to bring that factor in and multiply with everything inside. Sometimes you can circle the number on the outside of the parentheses, the factor. You can circle it and draw the little arrows coming in. You guys remember doing that before? Let me show you what that looks like. So one way. I'm gonna have to turn off my blur because it's like. And then stop presenting, so that goes to the big screen. So this is another way, maybe you've seen distributive property before, where you circle the factor on the outside and then you draw arrows coming into each factor on the inside. You have to make sure you multiply with everything on the inside. All right, so it becomes 4x minus 12. All right, we're going to look at another story problem. This story problem says a rectangular garden is fenced on all sides with 256 feet of fencing. The garden is 8 feet longer than it is wide. Find the length and the width of the garden. Well, if you were given a story problem that lends itself to drawing a picture, you should probably draw a picture because that will help you visualize what it is you're trying to do. So the picture that goes with this problem looks just like this. We have a rectangle because it's a rectangular garden. That's going to represent the garden. And there's fence on all four sides. So what I do know about the length and the width is that they have a relationship together. Whatever the width is, the length has to be 8 feet more than it. So here we're setting a variable equal to the width, which is unknown. The length is also unknown, but because it depends on the width, we're going to use W in both of them. But for width, we're going to have W plus 8. Okay, longer than, that means more than, so that's addition. So that's what this picture is showing us. And then it's a rectangle, so this side is W, the left side is W, the top is W plus 8, and the bottom is also W plus 8. And we're going to find the length and the width. So in order to do this, we're going to have to figure out the width first. We're going to figure out the value of W first. Then once we know what W is, whatever number it is, we're going to go back, add 8 to it, and that's going to tell us the length. All right, so with what we have so far, we can write an equation. And I'm giving you two choices. One of those is correct. One of them is incorrect. What would the equation look like? One of those equations is showing you perimeter. One of those equations is showing you area. Okay, we're trying to find perimeter, okay, because we're talking about the distance around the outside of a rectangle. That is perimeter. About half of you have responded so far. Go ahead and pick one. Which one do you think it is? Which one of those shows you the distance around? Okay, so let's see what we have so far. More of you think it's A, less of you think it's B, but there's still half of you that haven't bothered to respond. So even if you're incorrect, I appreciate you responding. Okay, A, 2W plus 2 times W plus 8. Well, if I'm adding, let me write it out this way too. let's see, stop presenting and turn that off. All right, so if I'm looking at the rectangle that I have a picture of, and I want to add up all four sides, I would have W plus W plus W plus 8 plus W plus 8, because that is perimeter. Now, right here, W plus W, remember there's invisible ones in front of our W's. So we add the coefficients. 1W plus 1W is 2W. Okay? And then over here, we have W plus 8 in parentheses and W plus 8 in parentheses. The same quantity being added. There's two of them there. You can put a coefficient of 1 in front here as well, like that, as a factor. I mean, you don't have to do that, but that's one way to think about it. And then this becomes 2 times the quantity of W plus 8. All right, so A is the correct answer, because we know that if we add up all four sides, we're going to get 256. A is the correct answer. All right. So what is the width and what is the length? So we have the equation. Now you guys get to solve the equation. And typically when you're working with the distributive property, it shows up in an equation, you should probably evaluate it, okay? Because then it gets rid of those parentheses and it lets you set it up so you can start combining like terms. So you're probably going to need just a piece of paper, something to write on right now, so you can work this out. Because this is probably the first thing you want to do. You're going to want to take 2 and distribute it to the W and the 8. You're going to multiply 2 with W, multiply 2 with 8. And if you want to see this, you're going to have to go to your Pear Deck tab. Okay, because right now I'm presenting just what the first step looks like. So on your Pear Deck tab, you'll be able to see everything. And you're going to work this out. Okay, this is almost the last slide. I should have brought more of my colorful pens from work because I like writing stuff out. I feel like this is a lot easier than trying to do it on the touch screen. Okay, so once you distribute, 2 times W is 2W, 2 times 8 is 16. And now you have an equation with 4 terms in it. You're going to combine like terms. 2W, what is it? 2W and 2W are like terms. You add the coefficients. What's 2 plus 2? 4W plus 16 equals 256. When you have like terms that are on the same side of the equation, you use the same operation you see. So since 2W and 2W are both together on the same side of the equation, I use the same operation, which is addition. But now my like terms in this new equation are 16 and 256, and they're on opposite sides of the equation. So I have to use the opposite operation, the inverse operation. Remember, I'm trying to get the W by itself. You can even do box and wall now. So we put a box around the W and then a wall coming down. Okay, and we're going to do something on both sides to get that W by itself. We're going to get rid of this 16, which is here. Okay, since 16 and 256 are on opposite sides, I got to use the opposite operation. I'm going to subtract the same amount that I see. So I get 0. Okay, what is 256 minus 16? 6 minus 6 is 0. 5 minus 1 is 4. 240. You're down to a one-step equation now. Let me tilt it. It's like I'm backwards, so when I tilt it, one way goes the other way. 4 times W is 240. So divide both sides by 4. Divide both sides by 4. $240 divided by 4. Yeah, 224 divided by 4 is 6, so 240 divided by 4 is 60. So I know the width is 60. But what's the length going to be? What did we say about the length? We know that the length is W plus 8. So if I show what you guys are coming up with, 60, 68, 60, 68, 60. Yeah, 60 and 68. And, you know, on problems like this, you should always check your answer too. Does this even make sense? If I was to put 60 where the W feet is in the picture and 68 where the W plus 8 feet is in the picture and add it all up, 60 plus 60 plus 68 plus 68, I better get 256. If I get anything else than that, I made a mistake. Okay, good. So there it is, worked out a little bit more neatly than what I did on my Post-it, although I think that looks pretty nice. And that is the end of your notes. Okay. So the assignment you had on Monday now, if you go back to it, you're going to see that you have some problems that are exactly like this one we just did with length and width. Okay. So